Low vibrations.
Before I start, I must say that if you are having suicidal thoughts, seek professional help. Joining Unicult is not the solution. From my experience in Unicult, I can confidently say that Unicult neither has the ability nor the desire to provide the help a suicidal person needs. I'll explain more later in the episode, but I want to make sure that people hear this message. So I'll repeat it once more. If you are having suicidal thoughts, seek professional help. Joining Unicult won't help and it will probably make things worse. With that out of the way, I'm Peter, and this is Low Vibrations. In this episode, I'll go through my journey with Unicult, why I joined, and why I left. Since I like to keep my episodes short, I will have to skip through a few details or else we'd be here all day. Also, even though I come across critical of Unicult and Unicult, I actually don't have any negative feelings towards them. This is just my story. One last thing, Unicult uses the gender pronouns Z and Zer. What is Unicult? Unicult is a New Age UFO religion, led by Unicult Unicron. As of April 21st, 2021, it is mostly an online cult, with its sermons being streamed on Sunday mornings on YouTube. Unicultism is a mixture of various ideas that Unicult has picked up over the years, mostly New Age, Wiccan, ufology, gender studies, with a smidge of social justice. Why I joined Unicult. So my story begins about 1.5 years ago. My mother had just passed away, and I took it pretty hard. I quit my job and was just drifting through life. I would spend most of this time playing video games, watching YouTube videos, and looking for stuff on Amazon to buy. One day, in November of 2019, while on YouTube, I saw a thumbnail of Unicult. I didn't know it at the time. I thought it was just an alien cosplayer. When I was watching it, I felt like something just clicked. I couldn't get these songs out of my head, and I liked Unicult's aesthetic and story. It seemed there was a lot of mystery surrounding Unicult and Unicult. Eventually I bought the application and joined. So after I joined Unicult, I got access to the Unicult Discord server. When I joined, I met some nice and interesting people who were in a similar situation to me. I enjoyed the interactions I had with the other people in the server. I even got to play D&D with some of them. During this time, I met my friend, who we'll call Tommy, and we had tons of fun with the various Unicult social activities. At this time, most people didn't take the cult aspect of Unicult too seriously, and it was treated more like an inside joke. Things went pretty well for a few months. Then one day, Unicult decided Z wanted to run for vice president with some random guy. This whole thing was a disaster with several members leaving. This was the first time I really questioned Unicult. I couldn't understand what Unicult was thinking. The best thing I could say is that it was a poorly executed publicity stunt that backfired. Naturally, the campaign wasn't very successful, and it didn't generate any publicity or votes, and since then it has been swept under the rug. After the campaign, things fell off, but then they slowly started getting back to normal. Things were good for a few months till Unicult posted a now deleted tweet about turning Unicult into a club. I found this upsetting because I felt like it showed a lack of resolve on Unicult's part. I snapped at Unicult, then quit Unicult for the first time. I was only gone for a week before I missed it. I didn't miss Unicult as much as I missed the people in it. Also, I didn't feel good about snapping at Unicult, so I tried to get back into Unicult, and I was able to after about 2 weeks. Looking back, I think it would have actually been a good idea to turn Unicult into a club. However, many of the other Unicultists were much more invested in Unicult as a religion than I was, so I don't know if it would have worked. When I got back in the server, nothing felt the same. The community, which was my main reason for returning to Unicult, didn't seem to exist anymore. Most of the people were still there, but everything seemed different. It wasn't bad enough for me to leave again, but I knew I was just going through the motions. One Thursday night, Tommy, the friend I had mentioned earlier, had attempted to kill themselves. Tommy was one of the first friends I met in Unicult, so I was very worried about them. After being in the hospital for a few days, Tommy got out and returned to the server. Tommy was suicidal again and trying to get emotional support in the Discord server. It did not go well. I don't want to get into too much detail, but while Tommy was trying to get emotional support, they mentioned another Unicult member. This Unicultist felt bullied and reported it to Unicult. Naturally, I'm biased towards my friend Tommy, but I'll say they weren't bullying by any stretch of the imagination. Unicult didn't see it that way and demanded that Tommy and this other member have a mediation right then. I couldn't understand how Unicult could prioritize someone who feels slighted over someone who feels suicidal. I feel like that was worse than doing nothing at all. The end result was that Tommy left Unicult and burnt every bridge they could on their way out. Luckily, that was the only destructive thing that Tommy did that night. The next night, Unicult had a meeting about the event. I thought the meeting would be about how we could prevent similar events in the future. That turned out not to be the case. Far from it, in fact. It turns out a majority of Unicult hated Tommy and were fine with how things played out. That meeting was the only time Unicult actually felt like a cult. There has always been a portion of Unicult who were serious and wanted Unicult to be a cult. Not a joke, not a religion, but a cult. And it seems they will get what they want. I wanted to leave Unicult right after that meeting, but I was staying mostly out of spite. After a few days, I decided I should let go of my spite and left Unicult. While most of my time in Unicult was mostly positive, the bad points were really bad. When I was in Unicult, I often felt disoriented because I felt like I was trying to rationalize a reason to stay. This resulted in my actions conflicting with my values. I don't think Unicult is a bad person and does have lots of potential as an artist, but I can't invest any more resources into her. I also feel like Unicult is slowly starting to go down the path towards being a dangerous cult. It'll still be a while till it has gone past the point of no return though. Who knows, maybe I was the problem. My low vibe attitude often conflicted with Unicult's message of high vibration, and was usually interpreted as hostility. Maybe now that I'm gone, the Unicultists can finally ascend to their higher selves. I can't really recommend people to join based on my experience. However, if Unicult really appeals to you, it is better for you to try out for yourself, even if it turns out badly. But if you have any doubts, definitely don't join. You can still enjoy Unicult's art and sermons without joining Unicult. So that was my story through Unicult. Have you ever had any experience with an internet cult? And if so, how did that turn out? Episode next week is Do We Live in a Simulation? See you then.